Tonight, Donald Trump gave Canada Mark Carney, but he might also give us freedom of speech. It's May 28th, and this is the Ezra Levant Show.
Shame on you, you censorious thug.
I'm a big fan of Donald Trump, by some measures the biggest in Canada, but I can't deny that his tweets and his public statements helped derail Pierre Poilievre and install Mark Carney, the globalist oligarch, the environmental extremist. Obviously, the decision to put Mark Carney in the prime minister's chair was made by Canadian voters, and Donald Trump didn't get a vote. But Trump gave Carney a fake campaign issue, defending Canada against an American invasion or annexation. I mean, just listen to this insanity that Trump managed to make plausible for Carney.
We are facing the most significant crisis of our lifetimes because of President Trump's unjustified trade actions and his threats to our sovereignty. Our response must be to build a strong economy and a more secure Canada. President Trump claims that Canada isn't a real country. He wants to break us so America can own us. We will not let that happen. We're over the shock of the betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for each other.
Now, that didn't convince everyone. In fact, I don't even think it convinced a lot of people. There were almost 20 million votes cast in the election. I think the dumbest 1 million people actually believed Trump was going to invade or something, or at least they were afraid enough that they moved their votes to Carney. And now look at us. So yeah, I'm frustrated. Trump is America first, but as our friend from Breitbart.com, Joel Pollack, reminded me, it doesn't mean he supports politicians who are Canada first or Australia first or Israel first.
I think that Trump doesn't see himself as a kind of global leader of conservatism or populism or nationalism. He cares about those principles, but he ultimately just cares about America first. And so if he believes it's in America's interest to have a liberal Canadian leader, he doesn't mind helping the liberal leader. And he doesn't mind if he riles up the Canadian electorate to put one into power. Now, we might, again, think that it's unfortunate, and I happen to like the conservative leader's policies in a number of ways, in many ways. And you know, many conservatives in the United States were quietly rooting for the Conservative Party. At the same time, I do think that Trump believes that he can get a better deal from Canada in terms of trade if he applies this kind of pressure. Do I like it in every case? I don't. But that's, I think, what his America First policy is about. He just doesn't feel an obligation to the Conservative Party in Canada, and he wants to get the United States to a better place. And I think that it is possible that Trump believes that dealing with a weak liberal leader, and I do think Carney is going to be a weak leader. I think his policies are terrible, and I think the public will sour on them very quickly in Canada. I think Trump would prefer to have an unpopular and weak Canadian leader than to have somebody who is strong and able to articulate the Canadian national interest.
It's plausible that Trump prefers a weak Canada, though I don't see how that's in America's interest. But I am overjoyed today to see the latest news from the Trump administration, news that absolutely will affect us here in Canada. It's targeted at others, I think. Brazil, the UK, France, Germany, but you bet it hits us too. Let me read straight from Secretary of State Marco Rubio's Twitter feed just a few hours ago. He said, "For too long, Americans have been fined, harassed, and even charged by foreign authorities for exercising their free speech rights. Today, I am announcing a new visa restriction policy that will apply to foreign officials and persons who are complicit in censoring Americans. Free speech is essential to the American way of life, a birthright over which foreign governments have no authority." And then he had a follow-up comment. He said, "Foreigners who work to undermine the rights of Americans should not enjoy the privilege of traveling to our country. Whether in Latin America, Europe, or elsewhere, the days of passive treatment for those who work to undermine the rights of Americans are over." Absolutely amazing, so hopeful. There was a point in time when Trump lost the last election and when Biden was bringing in more censorship. I thought censorship was like a ratchet. It's something that only goes one way, that could only get worse over time. And it would be a combination of authoritarianism and big tech that would take away our right to dissent. I thought the First Amendment, even though it was under attack, was still amazing, but it was only for Americans. It would never apply to us in any way. But when Trump won, everything became possible. We had a premonition of what was coming when Mark Zuckerberg, who went so hard towards the Democrats, sort of saw the light and decided to fire his censors, stop censoring conversations about topics like transgenderism. And he gave this speech and he mentioned that the State Department promised to have his back. Remember this announcement?
We're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further.
Even a gazillionaire like Mark Zuckerberg can only stand up to foreign governments with the support of the State Department. Mark Zuckerberg is subject to the laws of any jurisdiction he works in. So if he could only push the First Amendment so far in France and UK and Canada without America's State Department backing him up. I think that's what we just saw today. Now, I think Marco Rubio is more interested in places like Brazil, where there's an out-of-control judge named Alexandre Moraes. Do you remember when we went down there, when he censored the entire Twitter platform for all of Brazil because he was trying to get certain critics of the socialist government banned? Twitter wouldn't do it, so he banned the whole app. I went down there with one of my colleagues for a day. Remember that? I'm here for a massive street rally in support of Jair Bolsonaro, the opposition leader and former president. But what's very interesting is how many signs are here for freedom of speech and for Elon Musk. There are also signs saying Moraes, fora Moraes, which means Moraes out. Who is Moraes? He is an extremist judge who has been conducting secret trials, censoring opposition leaders. Got to show you this. This guy right here. He's dressed up as Alexandre de Moraes. What do you have to say?
Nós temos que ter coragem. Brasil inteiro, a liberdade é o nosso maior patrimônio. E nós temos que lutar pela anistia do povo que está preso injustamente. São pais e mães de família. Esse aqui é o retrato, é o escárnio da justiça que nós estamos hoje. E não é só penalizar ele, Alexandre de Moraes, mas seus pares, pela inércia, pela falta de respeito pelo cidadão brasileiro. A Venezuela está ali do lado. Nós vamos passar. A liberdade é o maior patrimônio. Temos que lutar por nossa liberdade. Liberdade e bota pra torar!
That was incredible. It was incredible to see 100,000, 200,000 people march for freedom of speech. I really loved it. But I think Marco Rubio means Europe too. Germany, where they're trying to ban the Alternative for Deutschland Conservative Party. France, where they're trying to ban Marie Le Pen. The UK, when they've really cracked down on people from Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage. Romania, which I think they just stole the election from the Conservatives. I was poking around the State Department on this, and they had an essay published by a State Department official. Samuel Sampson is his name. That's a great name. I want to read a couple of excerpts from it for you. And this is the view of the Trump administration. Let me read you. This is a little bit philosophical. He says, Europe has devolved into a hotbed of digital censorship, mass migration, restrictions on religious freedom, and numerous other assaults on democratic self-governance. It's interesting to me that they put mass migration in there. These concerning trends have only increased in recent years. In the United Kingdom, police are arresting Christians, such as Adam Smith-Connor and Livia Tosaki-Bolt, for silently praying outside of abortion clinics. You know, we've been one of the few Canadian outlets that's covered that. In 2023, over 12,000 British citizens were arrested for online posts, including comments critical of Europeans' migration crisis that authorities deemed to be, quote, grossly offensive. Yeah, that's just incredible. That's more than Russia arrested, by the way. This environment also restricts Europe's elections. As recently highlighted by Secretary Rubio, the Popular Alternative for Deutschland party was just labeled a, quote, extremist organization by German intelligence, which could lead to the party's exclusion from the electoral process. Leading French presidential candidate Marine Le Pen was charged with embezzlement and, departing from standard procedure, immediately banned from running. Restrictions have likewise occurred in Poland and Romania against select political parties or politicians. Simultaneously, Christian nations like Hungary are unjustly labeled as authoritarian and human rights abusers. Now that's very interesting because that's different than the tweets which talked about freedom of speech for American citizens. Here you have the U.S. State Department worried about entire European nations for the Europeans' sake. It's not mentioning any American citizens. Let me read a little bit more. Talking about the lawfare, talking about censorship. Quote, Americans are familiar with these tactics. Indeed, a similar strategy of censorship, demonization, and bureaucratic weaponization was utilized against President Trump and his supporters. What this reveals is that the global liberal project is not enabling the flourishing of democracy. Rather, it is trampling democracy and Western heritage along with it in the name of a decadent governing class and of its own people, afraid of its own people, pardon me. Let me just tell you again what I was reading from. That's not some op-ed in a newspaper. That is an official State Department essay by a senior State Department executive. This isn't the first that Marco Rubio has done. You may recall a few months ago, he shut down a major censorship office that was housed right in the U.S. State Department called the Global Engagement Center. What a neutral, vanilla name that is. They had funded censorship advocacy around the world, including here in Canada. It wouldn't surprise me if some of the funding from the State Department was deployed against Rebel News. I want to show you some reaction to this. Here's a publication that was done in January by Le Monde of France in reaction to some of the executive orders from President Trump. So again, this isn't just yesterday, but I just love this French take on American freedom, which is sort of sad because, of course, the French were supportive of America. The French helped in the Revolutionary War. France used to talk about liberté, égalité, fraternité. Well, the first was freedom. Here, look at this headline. How free speech became the weapon of conservatives in the U.S. Brother, it's not a weapon. Well, if it is, it's a shield to protect us. Let me just quote a little bit. Since the 1970s, the U.S. Supreme Court has defended a very broad conception of freedom of speech, one that allows today Elon Musk's or Mark Zuckerberg's platforms to massively disseminate unverified or even deliberately false information. Can you imagine that they didn't stop it? Individual people who use Facebook or Twitter or X didn't have to first get the government to verify what they said. Oh my goodness, that's Le Monde. That's one of the premier flagship opinion journals in France. You know, I was not pleased with what Donald Trump did to Canada. I think he's the reason we have Mark Carney as Prime Minister instead of Pierre Poilievre. I think Australia is in the same boat. But this, sanctioning individual officers, politicians, bureaucrats who censor people, that is a kind of meddling I can get behind. It's a kind of nation building, but not the kind that was tried in Iraq or Afghanistan, just pouring trillions of dollars into the desert, hoping people will suddenly become liberals. This is being done to free-ish countries that have in their blood some liberalism left. They've just forgotten how to be free. It's sort of astonishing we have to teach the French, again, how to be free, or Germany is lapsing back into authoritarianism. What I like about this is that it's a case of the emperor has no clothes. Everybody knows about the censorship, but no one has called them out before. The only people who have called out the censorship have been the people who are about to be silenced. But of course they would say that. It's like a medieval witch hunt. Of course the witch would say she's not a witch. That's what any witch would do. Or if she drowns, then she wasn't a witch. If she doesn't drown, she's a witch. It's one of those logical flaws. To have the United States call out censorship from supposedly free countries is so new. No one's done it before at that level. Which brings me back to Canada, the country in which I live, the country that I was born in, the country I intend to fight to keep free. I'm worried that Mark Carney is going to bring back Bill C-63, the Online Harms Act. That would have, it had 3 different censorship bureaucracies. It would create new, it would create a standalone crime of hate that would have life in prison. There was so many crazy things. We probably did 10 shows about it. But the one part of that law that's so touched on by this new Rubio effort is that it has special punishment sections for U.S. social media companies like X and Rumble and Facebook, where they audaciously say they would give tens of millions of dollars of fines and other consequences to Rumble and X and Facebook. Obviously, that would apply to individuals too. Now, Marco Rubio saying he's going to stop this kind of censorship, even from friendly allies, is amazing. And hopefully it'll stop different countries from bringing in the kind of censorship laws that Bill 63 is like. I don't think it would apply to, I don't think that Marco Rubio's efforts would apply to Rebel News in particular because, we're Canadian, we have no ties to the U.S. But I think enough Americans would get tangled up in any war on Rebel News or any other war on Canadian conservatives that it would trip the wire here. I mean, if we're being censored on YouTube, Facebook, or X, we're Canadian, but that platform is American. Do you see what I mean? So the censorship would be done to us by a company with roots in America. That's what might save us. That would be our pipeline to the First Amendment. What Marco Rubio just talked about probably has no direct connection to Rebel News. I mean, I haven't seen the fine print. But what it does is it gives our vendors, it gives our social media companies strength to stand up to the Mark Carneys of the world. I think there are enough people who have a toe in both countries that they would trip the wire. I mean, I understand that Dr. Jordan Peterson has moved to the States. I don't know if that means he's becoming an American citizen, but I think he would be one of the first people they would censor, and that might trip this. I imagine the sanctions put on the censors in Canada, and I'm thinking of Stephen Guilbeault, who's now in a position to bring back C-63. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have him banned, have sanctions on him that he could not travel to the United States if he tries to bring censorship to Canada? But then again, I immediately remember that Stephen Guilbeault probably can't travel to the U.S. right now, given that he's a convicted criminal. I'll keep you posted on this important story. Stay with us for more.
Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News, bringing you a report just before I'm leaving the Universal Ostrich Farms. If those of you who've been following my reports at SaveTheOstriches.com, you know that I have been entrenched in a prairie convoy style camp out protest that's been rotating behind me over the Canadian Food Inspection Agency's plans to call the healthy flock of 400 ostriches behind me. And not just any ostrich, not ostriches for human consumption, but ironically and defying logic and science, ostriches whose robust antibodies are part of a research project with Japan that is, according to the farmers, very close to neutralizing the very virus that they say they have to kill these healthy birds from based on 2 PCR tests back in December about. That is the avian flu. SaveTheOstriches.com is where all of our coverage is on here. I'm going to tell you in this report why I'm heading out, why we think these birds are still alive by the grace of God, some miracle, and why this story is not over.
We come home because this is going to be, it's going to be real soon, all right? And so please understand the
Maybe
importance.
not. Maybe not.
We're hoping not.
We're hoping not.
Yeah, it's not going to be real.
We're fighting it.
Yeah, but Bonnie's here.
I think we got it.
I want enough food.
I want to thank each one of you self-sacrificing people who are putting yourselves in harm's way to protect some innocent animals that didn't do anything. I really, there is not a
Here,
better
here.
bunch of people on the
Thank
world
you.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here.
Thanks for standing with our family and these animals for the change that's necessary for the world, because stamping out's not working. So let's save the animals and
Yes.
Team United. Love you. Yeah, love
It's
you.
about democracy, accountability, and freedom.
The only reason I'm here. Where's the bullhorn? When something goes down.
I was gonna go back and grab it, but
We actually have a couple.
Yeah, you just
That's another thing. We learned from this.
But at the end of the night, I don't think anybody's gonna make it this far without you already knowing that they're here. Oh, I would like to make a motion that we can get motion. I would like very much that we can get an e-bike for Darcy. E-bike for Darcy. There you go. Darcy, you can get an e-bike. Anybody else have anything to add? I'm just happy to be here and happy to meet my new friends and happy to stick up for my big bird friends, and I'll peacefully do things properly. Thanks, guys.
All right.
I think that one's something that we need to sit and talk about.
I wanted to make sure that that would not be in the dark, that the world would see. And the world is watching this place. And I think that that is why these birds are still alive. We have international pressure, as I've reported. The Secretary of Health of the United States, Robert Kennedy Jr., who first spoke out about this on a radio show back in April, has officially sent a very, very damning letter in the sense that it points out that if the Canadian Food Inspection Agency goes ahead and kills these ostriches, instead of taking up the secretary on his suggestion of working with the United States, our biggest trade partner, to actually further their research to be able to do something special, well, it really does expose that something else is at play here for why they want these birds dead. I'm going to talk to the people about something else that you don't get to see as good in the reports. I want to end on the note as I'm leaving here, because the sentiment is that for now, these birds are safe. The appeal should make it in the courts on Monday. And by the grace of God, these birds have made it until then, when the CFI could have marched in and taken care of them and made any legal resource moot at that point. So what I want to leave you with is the community that's formed and forming, because the fight is not over and they know that, of people from across the country. I've heard as far as Ontario have come here. There's quite a few from Alberta. And of course, most are from British Columbia, where nearly 9 million birds have been culled in the name of avian flu since 2022. Right now, as it stands behind me over in the camp area, the declared first person in Canada to contract avian flu, the 13-year-old previously nameless girl, Jocelyn, is here as well. She came to stand with the birds. The CFIA, I would love to be a fly on their wall discussing how this grassroots movement. All right, Katie, what a battle. What a wild ride.
Yeah, it has been.
Oh my gosh. Let's talk about what you think has happened. Why do you think your birds are still alive?
Public opinion, people coming together to create change, unity, and everybody, farmers across the world, believe that stamping out needs to be changed. It just needs to be, the whole policy in that needs to be revisited to protect the farmers. So I think everybody's watching, the world's watching, and I think it all is matters. That's why we're here. Yeah, it's everybody coming together.
All right, this is Danielle. Now, you've been here for a while, camping out with your son. What do you make of the community, and why was it important to be a part of it?
Yeah, the community's been amazing, all walks of life. The thing that's been so cool about this event, and I'm sure it's been said before, but it's not there's like a political aspect, but it really transcends that. It's not a left or right issue. It's kind of just like, I think like a lot of things that are happening right now in the world, I think we're being called to look beyond.
Okay, this is Jeff. Now, you've been helping out behind the scenes. I'm asking people about the community that's developing here so that people at home can get a sense for it. What do you make of it?
Well, what you said there is exactly what's happening. We have developed a fully functioning community. This is far beyond a protest. We have a camp kitchen, we have showers, we have bouncy castles, we have cotton candy machines, we have all the food, all the water you can imagine. We have a volunteer team that is handling everything from security to cleaning camp, handling garbage, running the kitchen, chopping firewood. We're essentially building here in the midst of fighting for these ostriches, a community that it seems like our provincial and federal governments can't even get their act together and come up with.
It really is remarkable. There is portable tent showers here as well. I've never seen anything like that, but it's starting to all come together.
Okay.
Yeah, Stanley Bear?
Standing.
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 Okay, so this is Standing Bear. Now, you've been here at least 2 days or more. How long have you been here? What do you make of the community that's forming?
Powerful community. You know, when the medicine comes together from all nations, circles, and tribes, that's when the miracles, that's when the medicine really gathers. And so I come here to be a part of that, to share the wisdom and the knowledge of my ancestors, and to make that an offering to the people.
So now you're here, but why do you think the whole matter with the ostriches and Canada, you know, saying they're going to go ahead and kill them? What's your thoughts on that?
Look how they treated our people for the over 150 years through policies. They don't care. And they still don't care. That's what I think. And that's from my experience in my lifetime. I'm a 60 scoop survivor.
All right, you guys came in this morning from Vernon. Tell us what you're feeling now that you're here. You saw the ostriches, you saw the community. What's it like?
Awesome. The energy's awesome. The ostriches are so beautiful, majestic, and absolutely amazing. And I've never really been intrigued with ostriches, and I now am, and I'm so glad I came, and I think you should come and check it out and definitely feel the energy, and it's a good thing. It's all a good thing.
We have come from Kamloops, and it was an amazing trip to come here and see the ostriches. I am amazed and so happy to see the community holding together and standing for what is right for this family and the ostriches. They are important to our environment for the testing that the eggs are done for. I'm absolutely so happy to see that we are all holding together. And I hope and pray that the government will understand what's happening here.
All right, I heard them give you a little bit of a shout out for helping out, and you look sad to go. Why? What is it about this place?
Oh, this place. This place has been wonderful to be a part of. I came for 2 days. I think it's day 12 or 13. I'm not too sure anymore. But it's been like honestly one of the best, most transformative experiences of my life being here, seeing how people work together, and we're calling this area where all the people coming the village, because it takes the village, and that is kind of what we have seen like transpire from all of this. Some people have been coming for a long time, some people just stop in for a day, but just seeing everybody come together, work together for the cause, and everything just coming from that, it's been so amazing.
Colin Big Bear, you've been here for a while during the movement. What do you have to say about the community that's formed and forming?
It's evolved. It's evolving quickly. When I first got here, there was nothing but a field there with a few people camping. And now we put up a big tent a while back. Now there's fridges, there's freezers, there's food pouring in from all over the local communities. There's bakeries stepping up, offering us weekly bread. There's a donation. There was about $1,000 worth of meat that came in, organic food. People are trying to feed us healthy food, so we're eating nutritional food here. We are literally growing a community at the Universal Ostrich Farm, which is the most amazing thing I've ever got to witness. And it's evolving all the time, and there's more kind of like, we're getting really in our integrity. We just did a ceremonial circle here. You can just take a peek over here quick, and you can see we have Standing Bear there. He's Wayne Snellgrove. He's from Fishing Lake First Nations. He's a world-renowned medicine man from the Bear Clan. And then there's Bev as well from Manitoba sitting next to him. And these are my Bear Clan people. We're from the Bear Clan. And, we were the healers of the tribes, and we come here to help bring the people together. So I really encourage all my Native people, this is the time to unite the tribes, and we're seeing our waters being poisoned. We're seeing the winds around the world blowing things over. We're seeing the pharmaceuticals being poisoned. This is the time we bring everything back into alignment. We're seeing the fires ravaging the earth, and especially in these mountains here, these sacred mountains, and all the chemicals in the air. And it's time we bring back the great balance and the great peace. And we have to do that through healing and sitting in circle together. And that's what we just did this morning. We did a couple hour ceremony.
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody's on board, like with exactly what's going on here. I haven't seen or heard a single person say, they don't agree with what's happening and what you guys are supporting. So they're in full agreement with what's happening here, not what the government is trying to do. So
now, are these people politically or philosophically affiliated, or are they just randoms?
Well, they're randoms. The problem is some of them, they're not quite awake yet, and they're being awakened. And this is the...
Woo! That's what we're here!
Yeah.
Middle market. The middle market. The ones that know that there's something wrong, but they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
They are on board. The pet owners are on board. RFK is on board.
Yeah.
I hate to say JER with a couple letters mixed in there, but that happens too. There's all kinds of stuff happening, folks. Please have patience with us. We're suffering from a lack of bandwidth right now. We have so much going on, we could use all the help that we can get. All the help that we can get. And the way it happens is that we all fall in line with each other. Find somebody who's leading something and help them. And if you're better at something, lead it. Okay? It's literally this. This is the thing that unites everyone. Everyone in the middle market can see this. They see the injustice. They see that they're not allowed to prove themselves innocent. And they've had enough. They've had enough. I've had enough. I've had enough. I've seen it. It's done. It's done here and now if we govern ourselves appropriately. We need to use kindness. We need to come in behind people and support them. If you see somebody distressed, please reach out. We can solve all of it right here, right now, by giving a crap about one another and standing up against that which would oppose us. Oh, wow.
Amen.
And now I get the great privilege and honor and to the lady who turned me on to this particular story back in December, January. Yes, because I saw her footage and I saw that there was something going wrong. And then when I started to investigate it, I realized there's something really bad going wrong here. I'd like to introduce her now because without her, I wouldn't be here. Sarah, come on up.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Sarah is now your meeting leader-ish, and it will rotate. Okay?
That's great.
Awesome.
She has been gracious enough to take this particular position over for me because we are trying to deal with other things, and the meetings are so important. And it's not about us talking. And I really apologize to take this much time. It's really about where you can get your voice heard. Everyone else can hear it, and we can all get on the same page. That's how we win. okay? And Sarah's going to do it.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Awesome.
Yeah, he asked me this about 2 minutes ago, so yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna follow what we've been doing. If we could hear from who is running the kitchen or one of the people that is running the kitchen, and if there's anything that you guys want to bring to the table right now.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if Jess wants to say anything, or I can. You're filming right now. Sure,
Let's
sure,
have Jess
sure.
talk. So this is
That's all right.
This is Miss Vic, and this is Jess.
Exactly. And I'll oversee, but Jess is really in charge of the kitchen. She's in charge of the cooks and the cleanup and making sure that she's not doing it all. Okay?
Thank you.
Good.
There's been a lot of like changes and transitional stuff and changing of plans. It's coming together. Like, we're really grateful. We need volunteers. We're trying to figure out the best way to know how many people are here so we know how to feed them. Do we want to do the sign-up sheet? That's a great idea. So we were talking about the idea of doing a sign-up sheet. So like tonight, if you're going to be here tomorrow, can you please come sign up if you are coming for breakfast? That's going to streamline things because this is a huge property. There's a lot of things happening in the background that people aren't even aware of, but like, it's hard knowing who's here. It's hard knowing who's hungry. Hey! But we want to feed you all. We don't want anybody disappointed and hungry. We want everybody happy because these are our supporters. And we're so thankful everybody is here and is coming through and is working on this because it's been beautiful and so inspirational. But yes, let's start a kitchen sign up. So if you're going to be here for breakfast, can you please put your name on the list? And we're going to try that.
We're going to get it created.
Okay.
This is going to help us with waste as well, because there was a lot of waste for a bit because we didn't know who was going to be eating and not, so that'll help. And also, as we announce, this is all going to come out with the press release that's about to come out too, that the food is going to be for the volunteers and their families. And this is going to help us so that we don't have people coming just to eat or whatever. But and we've got a lot of things coming into place. So just so people know too, my name's Elena. I'm also on the logistics team, and I'm overseeing volunteers now, and running around around on other things. And if you have any concerns and stuff, you're welcome to bring them to me, and I can bring them to Jim. And so yeah, we're all here together as a team, and we need as many volunteers as possible right now, and everything's coming into place. And you'll see the next few days are going to be amazing. We got a lot of amazing stuff coming into place, and it's going to be great, you guys. And
thank you.
Family friendly and love and unity.
That's what it's all about.
We're all together. We're a family.
I don't know how you do it. There's been so many ups and downs and so many really good moments. I had a tear in my eye a couple of times. One was when Robert Kennedy Jr., when you were reading the letter to the people, it seemed so surreal. Tell us a little bit about the community that you've got forming here. From your perspective, why is it important to have that, and what is it about?
I think it's a big, beautiful, functional community. Everybody volunteers. We have a little bit of a kitchen just offering people food if they need it. People are bringing in stuff to share. They're praying together. We have the native culture here. We have different beliefs here, and the one goal, which is just to protect our farmers and our animals. It's just been overwhelming, but the support, I think, is, I know it's why we're still here. It's been overwhelming. It's been an overwhelming 5 months.
Now tell us what is next.
What's next?
Yeah, what is next on the legal front, and what is next for how you want the public to engage?
So what's next is obviously they've been put on notice about an appeal and a stay order. That's been acknowledged by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. We are still pushing forward very much with public opinion and awareness and education around the matter of avian influenza and the migratory bird status, that as long as there's migratory birds in the world, we will never be avian influenza free, which even Secretary Kennedy was very great to say. So I think awareness, education, keep pushing forward, keep uniting people to come together, not separate and divide. And I think that's where we just need to keep our focus, is trying to save our farmers.
Is there a petition or something? Sorry, this is like, did you guys start a petition? Or is that something else?
We are starting a parliamentary petition as well, that it will be in the works. And I do know that a lot of other people have started different petitions. So a lot of those, I again would just like to say that Universal Ostrich Farm, the spokesperson for here is me. So, you know, if you do read anything, or even if you hear it's stuff from people, it's not a direct reflection of possibly the way what our beliefs are and our standards here. We hold ourselves here pretty. Oh, that's not good.
That's okay. The question was.
No, yeah.
Well, I thought the petition was yours. That's why I was.
I wanted to go off. I just wanted to say, like, what would you say? There's a lot of stuff online.
Just direct them where to go.
But,
just
yeah. Oh, I
yeah.
guess
Just say. Start over what you say.
Yeah.
We're going to be having a
Oh,
parliamentary petition,
Lord.
and the best place to keep up with that. Yada, yada.
Yeah. Okay. We are starting a parliamentary petition, and the best place to go and find out any new information is saveourostriches.com. You will gather the best and the most honest information from there as well as here. You can go to Katie Pasitney. I'm trying to update people daily. But that petition, I think, will be very important to go along with all the other letters that you can sign and send off from saveourostriches.com.
Well, it has been quite the fight. It's a magical place here, I gotta tell you. I think journalistically, I can go home now. And I'm so happy I'm going home on such a happy, hopeful note. And thanks for having Rebel News here.
Thank you, and everybody just keep up your prayers, because there's still an open call order. So let's just keep up our prayers and all the support. Thank you for being here. It's been absolutely amazing.
Thanks.
That
Are
doesn't have to
we
go
hugging?
It gets me emotional.
I just want to remind you that all of our coverage, which has been going on for months, is at savetheostriches.com. We have a one-click option where you can click and fire off emails to make sure you're involved in the public pushback if you'd like to do that respectfully. And you can support our coverage for me to not just be out here, not just to drive out here, not just to rent the van, not just to get the Starlink, not just to be here, but to actually channel all of my reports in the BC Bureau to this cause that I think is so pertinent. All of our coverage while I've been here in BC has been aimed at this, because if the threat to our food, our sovereignty, our farming is a threat to Canada. And if research birds for COVID, if our government, our Liberal government, can't find a reason to save those, no animal is safe. No farmer is safe. So if you appreciate that I came here to do such coverage, go to savetheostriches.com and chip in what you can to help us recoup and keep going strong.
Hey, welcome back. Your letters to me. Laura Mello says, Donald Trump needs to bring Tommy to the White House and have him tell his story. We need to stop the globalists and stop the multiculturalism push. Enough is enough. Yeah, you know what? I think Tommy Robinson and Donald Trump would get along. It reminds me of when Conor McGregor, the Irish mixed martial artist and entrepreneur and possible future candidate, visited the White House on St. Patrick's Day. I mean, I think there's a stylistic fit. A letter from Engel, who says, I'm a 52-year-old Englishman. I've been on the left of politics my adult life. I used to dismiss Tommy as a racist, like the old National Front. Times have changed. As far as I can see, he's the only one standing up for these abused children. The Labour Party and the Tories are part of the same establishment now, with an agenda that the majority of British people don't want. Another comment on Tommy by Jazzy B. Heaven. As a British Indian Sikh lady, I stand with Tommy Robinson. He's not far right. He's just right so far. This man is a truth warrior and should be given the respect, recognition, and love he deserves. Well, thank you for your kind words. I tell you, it was so ridiculous. I flew there. I landed. By the time I got out of the airport, it was around 7 a.m. I took a cab up to Luton, which is where Tommy was. I had breakfast with him. Actually, his son was there and some friends. And then he went to get cleaned up with a haircut and all that. So I interviewed him. And then I went straight back in the cab And I went, I think I was on the 2 p.m. flight or something. I can't remember. It was such a short period of time. I'm a little jet lagged still. I love to cover the things over there, but I also feel a tremendous obligation to be here in Canada because this is what we care about. But think about the subject of my monologue just a few minutes ago. It's about the United States trying to free countries around the world that are having problems with censorship and whose politicians want to denormalize and deplatform anyone who disagrees. So Tommy Robinson is part of that story. And Rebel News might be part of that story if the censorship comes back with Mark Carney, and I fear it might. So I think these are related stories. I think it's fascinating to see what's going on in other countries. I hope that I am never imprisoned for 7 months, and God forbid in solitary confinement. I honestly don't know if I have the stuff to last that long. Tommy's remarkable in that he does walk towards the flame like that, and I enjoyed catching up with him, and I saw his son and his friends there, and I'm really glad he's out. I think he still needs some time to recalibrate. You can't be in 7 months solitary confinement without being psychologically wobbled. So hopefully he'll have a chance to catch up with friends. That's the show for today. Until tomorrow, on behalf of all of us here at Rebel World Headquarters, to you at home, good night, and keep fighting for freedom.